Welcome to the Glow Getters podcast. My name is Fahey-Ahrndt, and I'm your host. I teach and inspire leaders to step into their productive selves and find their true potential. I'm a passionate creative and scientist with over 8 years of healthcare leadership experience. At age 25, I stepped into my first management role and didn't find the leadership advice I was looking for. So here I'm giving you the tools to end burnout and enjoy a vibrant career and life. Glad you're here to learn and grow with me. Now, on with the show. Hey friends, welcome to the Leadership Collaborative. I'm Kayla. I'm really happy that you're here. You're going to see the microphone in this video today because I'm actually recording for my podcast. So if you don't know, I have a podcast called the Glow Getters Podcast, and I've had this for 2 years now. And it's just been a space for me to come and chat. I created it when I was on maternity leave with my daughter a couple years ago, and it's mostly all about leadership. And it's just a little bit personal because you get to hear my voice in your ear. So if you like podcasts, if you don't always have time to check out the video and watch the video, you can just go over to anywhere you listen to podcasts and check out the Glow Getters podcast. Today's episode or today's video is going to be aired both on the podcast and my YouTube channel because I think it's really important. Some of you probably know, if you've watched this channel before, I have what's called the Leadership Collaborative outside of the YouTube channel. It is a community where I have leaders and we collaborate, hence the name, and talk about topics that pertain to leadership. I offer tools, solutions, support, coaching in that group, and I'm really excited about this month's theme. So every month we have a theme. October's theme is all about burnout and leading through tough times. So I just feel like it's a topic that I wanted to cover because, okay, let's be real. COVID hit in early this year, and it's like 6 or 7 months later, and we're still having to operate. You know, we have to carry on. Our lives go on, our work goes on, and we don't stop being leaders, right? So for me, I'm at this point where, things are sort of shifting, and there's some normalcy in the fact that nothing is normal, but it's exhausting and it leaves me in burnout sometimes. And so that's what I want to talk about. And I also want to define burnout for you. So in my community, I went in and did a little blog post about what is burnout. And for me, I feel like it's being in go mode for these 6 or 7 months, where you are, we got your pedal to the metal, your foot is on the gas, and you just haven't let up. And I think there's always going to be seasons like this in our lives or in work where, it's go time. We've got to go, we have a mission, and, there's going to be some nights where you might work later. It just depends on what your job or what leadership is like for you. So I feel like, though, for the most part, being in go mode for an entire year is not sustainable, right? Like it's not sustainable. It's not something that you want to be doing. We need to rest as humans. We need balance. We need to do things other than work. Sorry, I feel like I have a dog hair on my lip. We have a wonderful boxer lab mix, and she's so cute. Maybe she'll come by during the video. But anyways, I just feel like it's unsustainable. So how do we, number one, recognize burnout, reframe it with mindset shifts or definitions or boundaries so that we can feel like we're being successful in our work, in our home life, whatever that looks like for you, and carry on and have enough left at the end of the day for you. So that's what I want to talk about today. This month in the community, we're going to be talking about burnout, feeling hopeless, feeling misaligned or fatigued, feeling anxiety over what we can't control. And I'm going to be talking about identifying and redefining norms, pacing yourself, looking at your book of proof for previous wins, your nighttime routine, scoping your zones, and forming to norming to performing scale. So if that interests you, send me a DM on Instagram. I'm at Kayla Fahey-Ahrndt, or comment on this video, or, just reach out to me in real life if you have my number, and just let me know that you're interested. Also, the link is below in the description for the community. I would love if you join us for this October theme. So today on the channel and on the podcast, I want to talk about one aspect of burnout, and one thing that I find myself thinking about all the time. So for me, I often think about boundaries. So I was thinking about like, how do I talk about boundaries, and how do we recognize them, and how do we set them without feeling guilty? So I don't know if you guys listen to Tiffany Hahn's podcast. It's amazing. It's called Raise Your Hand, Say Yes. She's amazing. She did an episode, I think it's in July or August, that talks about guilt, and it's called What About the Guilt? And she talks a lot about boundaries. I think a lot of times when we want to say no to something, or we have to turn off our computer at night, or we want to do something that doesn't feel right to someone else, but it feels aligned for us, it can lead us to feel guilty, and then we feel bad, and it's in this, we perpetuate our own hopelessness or fatigue or anxiety over that, when really we should just be happy that we have boundaries for ourselves. So it got me thinking last night. So if you haven't checked out that podcast episode, I'll link it below as well in the show notes and in the description of the video. But I want to show you guys this book that I've had for a few years now. It's called Being Boss, and it's by Kathleen Shannon and Emily Thompson. So they have this podcast called Being Boss Podcast. Emily actually does the podcast by herself now and fully owns Being Boss, as Kathleen has moved on to different things and is still involved. But it's interesting because that's even a boundary in itself. She realized it wasn't something that was lighting her up anymore, and so she worked it out with Emily to take over their business. So anyways, their book is amazing. It's really cute. And it talks about taking control of your work and live life on your own terms. And it's really written for folks that are bosses or leaders. And also they have a little bit of a focus on here if you want to work for yourself or be an entrepreneur. But this still applies if you work for someone else or for a company. So I was flipping through this to get some inspiration, and you guys, it's like fate. They have a whole section on establishing boss boundaries. So I was like, all right, I am here for this. And so I'm just going to read you this list. They have a list of warning signs that you might need to set some boundaries. Number 1, you're getting all of your work done. You're not getting all of your work done, and you see no light at the end of the tunnel. Coffee is your favorite meal of the day, and you'll go for another French press, please. I think what they mean here is like you don't actually eat, you just fuel on caffeine. Your calendar is so full of meetings and engagements that there's no time to actually do the creative work you love. You have no free time for self-care, hobbies, or quality time with friends and family. You leave social engagements feeling worse about yourself. Even when you're not working, your thoughts are consumed with work. Anybody feel that? The work you do doesn't fulfill or satisfy you. There's 4 more points. You're living paycheck to paycheck and always feel broke or experience feast or famine money issues in your business. You find yourself saying no to the things that you really want to do, like traveling or investing and learning something new. You find yourself being irritable, quick-tempered in your relationships. Your clients are texting you on the weekend or texting you at all. What? So I would even add, like, if you're fatigued all the time, if you become resentful of the work that you're doing when you once loved it, when you find even small, simple tasks like overwhelming or so monotonous that you can't bring yourself to do them. So something they talk about in the book is energy. So I want to talk about that, and then I'm going to give you more examples from the book. We all have like a finite, limited amount of energy that we can give to our day. And if you think about energy in terms of like a circle or a pizza, or any type of diagram that you can dissect into pieces, like each thing that you do each day or action or the thoughts that you have, it like takes away from that whole slice of pizza. So you're dividing up your energies into different things that you're doing or people that you're seeing or activities that you've got on your calendar. And if you expend more energy than you have in your pizza, basically you're going to be like so burnt out. You're going to be so tired, and there's going to be a deficit in energy almost. You will have no pizza left for you, and you will feel like you don't even have any more for tomorrow. Like, essentially, you are already behind during your day for the next day. Like, how overwhelming is that? So I like to talk about protecting my energy, and that means surrounding myself with people that make me feel good, lifting myself up with some self-care or self-maintenance, like showering, eating, drinking water, but also like doing nothing. That's really hard for me. Going for walks. I think that we have to be really cautious about where we give our energy, and do we spend most of our day worrying over things we can't control, or complaining, or talking or hanging out with people who are super negative. So that being said, Emily and Kathleen created some examples of energy boosters. So sunshine and water, they say it turns out we have more in common with plants than we thought, because soaking up vitamin D and staying hydrated does magic for our souls, they say. A full night's sleep, guys, a full night's sleep. That is one thing in the last year or so that I am like not wanting to compromise on it all. And of course, I have had young children. I have one child who is 2 years old. I totally get it. So maybe that's not the season for you, but getting as much sleep as you can. Dinner parties with good conversation and like-minded friends. You know, right now we can't have people in person, but we might be able to have small groups together in our homes safely. Maybe we can do virtual. We can do outside coffee shops, whatever you're comfortable with, but like fueling yourself with people whose energies make you feel really good. A good thought-provoking book, travel and adventure, a green smoothie, doing work we love, and being honest about it. Like, this is the work that I love, and owning that. Just a sidebar here. I was reading something about art, and, you know, for me, like, I'm very creative. I love art. And if I had to change careers and just become like 100% artist, I can't say that I would, because I'm so like nerdy that like science is always just part of who I am, or like health or people is just part of who I am. But I wouldn't say that I wouldn't ever want to do that as my thing. Like maybe when I retire, or could I have like a part-time thing? And that's why I create all the time, because when you do art or do something creative, you actually like help your mind realize that you don't have to be perfect, or you don't have to do like all the crazy things. It lets you sort of explore and do something that in itself, art doesn't have to be perfect. So I guess for me, I try to do something each day that's a little bit different than my work, that fuels my soul, and that also helps me keep that balance. And maybe one day, like, that will be my thing, right? Maybe that will be like the thing that I do for my full-time gig. Some examples of energy drains: toxic relationships, too much social media, all the emails, overindulging in refined sugar and alcohol, working excessively, looking at a screen all day, gossip and negativity. Guys, the nature of COVID, I feel like, has me doing email and working longer hours because I'm not commuting, or I'm not taking the same amount of breaks I should, and it has me looking at a screen all day. Like, energy draining. So what we need to do is do less of those things that drain our energy, and maybe more of those things that boost our energy, and integrate them into our day. I even think like pausing between tasks can help you set boundaries, so that you're not just like swooping through your day. Just try to knock out everything possible. Like literally finishing one task or meeting and saying like, oh, I'm done with that. Like breathe, like deep breath, like breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds. Called breathing in a square. It's amazing. You know, taking a break to stand up, to walk outside without looking at your phone or listening to a podcast, to drinking some water, to taking that lunch break. So one example of a boundary I've had to set lately that has really, really helped me with my burnout is saying no to an extra professional group that I wanted to be part of. So originally I thought it was really important to be part of this professional organization. And then I realized I was only doing it out of obligation because I thought it was the right thing to do, but it wasn't really something that fueled my energy and raised my energy, got me excited. And so every time I had to do something that was an obligation for this group, I sort of hated it. I resented it. And I would procrastinate it. And it just tugged at me all the time. And then I realized if I just said I'm not available anymore to be part of this group right now, at least, I dispelled myself from obligations. And, I didn't make people in that group happy. They weren't excited that I was leaving, but it helped me. So I think the thing with boundaries is you can't please both people or both groups. You can never, for the most part, please yourself in doing the right thing for you and the other group. You probably are going to let someone down if you set a boundary. And take that as a compliment. That probably means they want you there. They want you for something. But that person doesn't control where you expend your energy. You control where you expend your energy. So if you are feeling you don't have boundaries, or you can't say no, or you don't turn off your computer at night, you don't close your laptop at night, you log on way earlier, you don't take breaks, you are perpetuating that feeling and season of burnout. Only you can stop that. So realize that if you're feeling burnout because you've got some boundary issues, you have the power to untangle them and to set new boundaries. And you know what? If you set boundaries that don't feel comfortable and you need more boundaries, stronger boundaries, that's okay. Change your mind. Reevaluate. If the boundary you set is too strict and you don't like it, doesn't feel good, take that boundary down. And I think in different seasons of life, you're going to need to switch those boundaries because sometimes you need them up and then sometimes you don't need those boundaries. So I hope this helps you think about burnout in terms of, pedal to the metal, constantly working, maybe working in different ways out of the norm where we're constantly connected. And as humans, we need that connection. And we don't need more screen time or more social media time or more emails. So where can you find connection or activities that boost your energy and do more of those? And where can you take down some of those things that aren't fueling you and are draining your energy? So I'd encourage you, make a list of the two things, energy giving and energy taking, and circle the things you want to do more of and cross out the things you want to stop doing. And try it. Just experiment and try it for a week and see how it feels. See if you feel lighter and brighter and less fatigued and energy drained. And if you do, great. If you don't, change it up. All right, my friends, thanks so much for listening to the Glow Getters podcast and being on my YouTube channel at the Leadership Collaborative. If you want to join my Leadership Collaborative group where we talk and go more in depth on these topics, please check out the link in the description or the show notes. DM me on Instagram at Fahey-Ahrndt. So thank you so much for being here. Make sure you like and subscribe this video if you want to hear more from me. All right, guys, have a great day. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening to the Glow Getters podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave me a good rating and review on iTunes. It really helps me get this podcast in front of other people. If you'd like to connect with me, please follow me on Instagram at Kayla Fahey-Ahrndt. And you can always check out my website for more content, blog posts, and recipes at glowgetterslife.com. Thanks, everybody, and have a great day.